Hello, my lovelies. Today I have another book haul for you, so stay tuned. So, I have 33 books here that I have accumulated since my last haul. Most of them, I would say, are from subscription boxes. So, like, all of these through, I think, to about right here are from some kind of subscription box. And then I have books that I have purchased straight from the author. I have books that I've ordered off of Amazon and books that I've ordered off of Barnes & Noble. Yeah, you ready to get started? Alright, so we'll start with these over here. The first one is Daughter of the Salt King by A.S. Thornton. And this says, an epic romantic fantasy where the desert meets the sea, about the magic of wishes and their unintended consequences. As a daughter of the Salt King, Emma ought to be among the most powerful women in the desert. Instead, she and her sisters have less freedom than even her father's slaves. For the Salt King uses his own daughters to seduce visiting noblemen into becoming powerful allies by marriage. Escape from her father's court seems impossible, but Emma dreams of a life where she can choose her fate. When members of a secret rebellion attack, Emma stumbles upon an alluring escape route. Her father's best-kept secret, a wish-granting genie, Salim. But in the land of the Salt King, wishes are never what they seem. Salim's magic is volatile. Emil would lose everything with a wish for her freedom, as the rebellion intensifies around her. Soon she finds herself playing a dangerous game that pits dreams against responsibilities and love against the promise of freedom. Okay, next up is A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Renee. And I can't remember what all boxes these came from. I think a lot of them came from Unplugged Book Box. A couple came from the Bookish Box. And then I also have some Book of the Month. Okay, so this one says, Destiny or Desire. Where does your allegiance lie? I am told my union to the crown prince will determine the fate of the kingdom. But it isn't my betrothed who haunts my dreams. It's the half-breed prince who stands at his side. He is darkness and sin, and when he whispers promises of wickedness in my ear, I crave a man who I can't have. Every thought I have is treasonous, the way my hands ache to touch him deceitful. Even my dreams make me a traitor to the kingdom I am sworn to protect. But when the kingdom is attacked, I'm forced to make choices I'm not prepared for. Our lies and deception are entangled in the shadows and stars, and as they unravel, so shall my fate. Betray a kingdom or betray my heart. Oh yeah, if you're interested in either of those boxes, I will link all of the information down in the description. Alright, next we have Death by Society by Sierra Elmore. This says, Mean Girls meet It's a Kind of Funny Story. When two teenage girls' worlds collide when one attempts suicide to avoid toxic popularity. Carter Harper may have created an award-winning app and have a 3.93 GPA, but her successes are overshadowed by brutal bullying, depression, and loneliness. Tired of being treated as a popular girl's plaything, Carter thinks her only choice is to die by suicide. Abby Wallace is one of the most popular girls in school. Subordinate only to Kelsey, her best friend with benefits, the ambitious poet destroys reputations without care to prove how cool, cruel, and strong she is, all while pushing down her past trauma and secret guilt. Carter and Abby's tumultuous relationship comes to a boiling point when Abby stops Carter from attempting suicide, but what happens when they have to protect one another from Kelsey's harmful antics? If Carter and Abby can stand each other for more than 3 minutes, they can stop Kelsey from hurting more girls and maybe become friends in the process. In the tradition of Courtney Summers and Laurie Halse Anderson, Death by Society questions how far we'll go to gain power over our lives and what happens when we use our voices for both good and to harm others. Next is Speak No Evil by Leanne Gardner. And this says, the daughter of Appalachian snake handlers becomes a ward of the state after her eerie gift causes a tragedy that leaves her orphaned. What if every time you told the truth, evil followed? My name is Melody Fisher. My daddy was a snake handler in Appalachia until Mama died. Though years have passed, I can still hear the rattle before the strike that took her from me. And it's all my fault. Since then, I've been passed around from foster home to foster home. I didn't think anything could be as bad as losing Mama. I was wrong. But I will not speak of things people have done to me. Every time I do, worse evil follows. Now the only thing I trust is what saved me years ago. Back when I would sing The Snake's Calm. Interesting. A lot of these synopsises I haven't read until just now. So, okay, next up is The Nightland Express by J.M. Lee. This says, in antebellum America, two teens bury their secrets and join the historic Pony Express, soon discovering that the mortal world is not the only one on the brink of war. When bright, brash Jessamine Murphy finds a recruitment poster for the Pony Express, her tomboy heart skips a beat, not only for adventure, but for the chance to track down her wayward father in California. Eager to reunite her fractured family, Jessamine cuts her hair, dons a pair of trousers, and steps into the world as Jessie. With a bit of trickery, Jessie wins a special assignment, as does Ben Foley, a quiet but determined boy who guards secrets as closely as Jessie does. The two are to transport unusual cargo along an unusual route, the Nightland Express. They ride west together, one excitedly navigating the world as a boy, the other passing as white to escape the monsters from his past. Ben and Jessie soon realize their assignment is special in more ways than one. Their tireless horses cover ground faster than should be possible, and the inhuman creatures watch their journey from the darkness. The Nightland Express is more than a mail route. It traces the border between the mortal world and a vibrant magical land just beyond. As both realms hover on the precipice of disaster, Jessie and Ben must learn to fully trust one another before a catastrophic rift separates the two worlds and the two riders forever. Interesting. Alright. Next up, this book is so stinking cute. It is The Borrow a Bookshop Holiday by Kylie Dunbar. And I think it's just so adorable. This says, the Borrow a Bookshop Cafe invites literature lovers to run their very own bookshop for a fortnight. Spend your days talking books with customers in your own charming bookshop and serving up delicious cream teas in the cozy cafe. Bookworms, what are you waiting for? Your holiday is going to be lit. Apply to the Borrow a Bookshop Cafe down along Clover Lore, Devon. Jude Crawley should be on top of the world. She's just graduated as a mature student, so can finally go public about her relationship with philosophy professor Mac. Until she sees Mac kissing another girl, and her dreams crumble. And worse, their dream holiday running a tiny bookshop in the harbor village of Clove Lore for 2 weeks is non-refundable. Throwing caution to the winds, Jude heads down to Devon, eager to immerse herself in literature and heal her broken heart. But there's one problem. 6-foot-tall, brooding, but gorgeous Elliot, who's also reserved the bookshop holiday for 2 weeks. As Jude and Elliot put their differences aside to run the bookshop, it seems that Jude might be falling in love with more than just words, until she discovers what Elliot is running from and why he's hiding out in Clove Lore. Can Jude find her own happy ending in a tiny tumble-down bookshop, or is she about to find out that her bookish holiday might have an unexpected twist in the tale? The perfect cozy romantic read for a bookworm. Fans of Jenny Colgan, Cressida McLaughlin, and Philippa Ashley will love this feel-good rom-com. Alright, next up we have Fraternity by Andy Mintus. This says, a mysterious boarding school, a brotherhood in the shadows, and an ancient evil that could tear it all apart. In the fall of 1991, Zooey Orson transfers to the Blackfriars School for Boys, hoping for a fresh start following a scandal at his last school. But as he soon learns, he isn't the only Blackfriars student with something to hide. Zooey is taken in by the Vicious Circle, the school's secret gay club that goes back decades. He meets handsome jock Daniel, who treads social boundaries, flamboyant Leo, who can't hide who he is, and stoic Stephen, brilliant and hard to get to know. Zooey starts to feel like he belongs, except for the bullies who immediately sniff him out and the constant threat of exposure. But then the boys happen upon the headmaster's copy of an arcane occult text. To protect themselves from the world that seems like it will never accept them, they unleash an eldritch secret so terrible it threatens to consume them all. Set during the still raging AIDS crisis, Fraternity examines a time not so long ago when secret brotherhoods lurked in the shadows, and a group of boys learned how far they're willing to go to protect their found family. Interesting. Alright, next up is The Secret Garden of Yanagi Inn by Amber A. Logan. Okay, so the back actually tells me on this one. This says, a modern Gothic retelling of The Secret Garden. Still grieving her mother's death, American photographer Mary Lennox is sent to document Yanagi Inn, an old debilitated ryokan outside Kyoto, Japan. By day, Mari explores the inn and its grounds, taking striking photographs and uncovering layers of mystery shrouding the old resort, including an overgrown secret garden on a forbidden island. At night, eerie weeping, which no one else seems to hear, keeps her awake. Despite the warnings of the staff, Mari searches for the source of the ghostly sound and discovers a devastating secret tying her family's history to the inn and its mysterious forlorn garden. Okay. Next up is Daughters of Smoke and Fire by Ava Homa. This says, the unforgettable, haunting story of a young Kurdish woman's perilous fight for freedom and justice for her brother. Set primarily in Iran, this extraordinary debut novel weaves 50 years of modern Kurdish history through a story of a family facing oppression and injustices, all too familiar to the Kurds. Layla dreams of making films to bring the suppressed stories of her people onto the global stage, but obstacles keep piling up. Her younger brother, Chia, influenced by her father's past torture, imprisonment, and his deep-seated desire for justice, begins to engage with social and political affairs. But his activism grows increasingly risky, and one day he disappears in Tehran. Seeking answers about her brother's whereabouts, Layla fears the worst and begins to campaign to save him. But when she publishes Chia's writings online, she finds herself in grave danger as well. Inspired by the life of Kurdish human rights activist Farzad Kamanjer, and published to coincide with the 10th anniversary of his execution, Daughters of Smoke and Fire is an evocative portrait of the lives and stakes faced by 40 million stateless Kurds. It's an unflinching but compassionate and powerful story that brilliantly illuminates the meaning of identity and the complex bonds of family. A landmark novel for our troubled world, Daughters of Smoke and Fire is a gripping and important read, perfect for fans of Khalid Hosseini's The Kite Runner and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Half of a Yellow Sun. Okay. Next is The Fitful Sleep of Immigrants by Orlando Ortega Medina. And this one says, inspired by events that forced the author and his partner to immigrate from the United States because of marriage inequality, The Fitful Sleep of Immigrants is an extraordinary and timely tale about the value of family and friendship, loyalty and love in the face of adversity. Attorney Mark Mendez, the estranged son of a prominent rabbi and burned-out lawyer with addiction issues, plots his exit from the big city to a more peaceful life in the idyllic Napa Valley. But before realizing his dream, the United States government summons his Salvadorian life partner, Isaac Perez, to immigration court, threatening him with deportation. Torn between his commitment to Isaac and the pain-numbing escapism offered by a client, Mark is forced to choose between the lesser of two evils while confronting the twin demons of past addiction and guilt over the death of his first lover. Okay. So a lot of heavy topic books so far. And I think it's going to remain that way for a little bit here. This next one is Hurt You by Marie Mayung Ok Lee. And this one says, with echoes of Marieke Najkamp and Jason Reynolds, acclaimed author Marie Mayung Ok Lee's stunning YA homage to Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men tells the tragic story of a Korean-American teen who fights to protect herself and her neurodivergent older brother from a hostile community. Moving beyond the quasi-fraternal bond of the unforgettable George and Lenny from Of Mice and Men, Hurt You explores the actual sibling bond of Georgia and Leonardo da Vinci Daewoo Kim, who has an unnamed neurological disability that resembles autism. The themes of race, disability, and class spin themselves out in a suburban high school where the Kim family has moved in order to access better services for Leonardo. Suddenly unmoored from the familiar, including the support of her Aunt Clara, Georgia struggles to find her place in an Asian majority school where whites still dominate culturally, and she finds herself feeling not Korean enough. Her one pole star is her commitment to her brother, a loyalty that finds itself at odds with her immigrant parents' dreams for her, and an ableist, racist society that may bring violence to Leonardo despite her efforts to keep him safe. Hurt You is a deep exploration of family, society, and the bond between siblings, and reflects the reality that people with intellectual disabilities are far more likely to be the victim of a violent crime, not the perpetrator. Okay. Next is A Lust for Blood, a Realm of Curses novel by K.C. Smith. This one says, there is no escape when the monster is you. When Orena awakens in a field of blood and bodies, she is devastated to realize the patchwork of death was caused by her own hand. A curse lingers in the air, and there is only one option to save herself from further bloodshed. Orena uses her magic to create an enchanted forest, imprisoning the monster responsible for the massacre, herself. Garen has built a career around slaying demons. When he learns of a centuries-old creature locked away in the strange phantom wood, the opportunity is too great. He will stop at nothing to destroy the demon filth that lurks in those shadows, if only to satisfy his own haunting memories. Orena soon finds herself caught in a cat-and-mouse game, fighting to keep her identity secret. As the two grow closer, secrets unravel. But could they each be the answer the other has been searching for? That one sounds like a fun one. Alright, next up is What Walks These Halls by Amy Clarkian. This one says, Raven O'Sullivan doesn't remember what happened in Hyacinth House 5 years ago. When her father died during a paranormal investigation there, everyone said it was an accident, but she's pretty certain it was her fault. Her brother Archer wasn't there that night. When asked to investigate the supposed ghost of Hyacinth House, he can't resist, even if his sister wants nothing to do with it. Iaba McLaughlin has grown up seeing and hearing things no one else does. Now that she's starting college, she finally has the freedom to find out why. The daring Archer and his eclectic team seem like a good place to start, but everyone has their secrets, and they all lead back to Hyacinth House. Okay. Next is Untainted by Lillian T. James. This says, there were several things Vera was quite skilled at. Wielding a blade and pretending to be human were two of them. Following the rules and controlling her anger were not. Raised in the heart of the Matheran Empire, Vera spent most of her life forced to hide what she was and what she could do. Until one day, she foolishly confronts a strange male she spies, tailing the crown prince. Not only does the altercation not go as planned, but the male claims she possesses a power his people vitally need. He's desperate to return home and refuses to leave without her. Staying would give her a life she never thought she'd have, but leaving could provide her with the only chance to learn more about her past. The more answers she uncovers about herself, the more questions arise, and nothing is adding up. Vera must decide what to do, not only with her life, but with the ancient power inside her. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, next up is Finan Street by Anne Emery. This says, Sharon grew up in the Corporation Flats, public housing in Finan Street, Dublin. He has always toyed with the idea of joining the Garda Síochána, the Irish police, but in the early 1970s, young fellows from the tenements of Dublin have not been welcome in the police force. When his friend Rosaline is killed and the case goes unsolved, Shay decides to put on the uniform of a Dublin Garda and sets out to find the killer. The murder inquiry makes an enemy of the detective who failed in the first investigation. Shay knows Detective McCreevy is just waiting for the chance to get revenge, but the violent death of a prominent politician gives Shay the opportunity to prove himself, perhaps even be promoted. Shay works with the lead detective on the murder inquiry, and his star is rising, until suspicion falls on a member of Shay's own family. So Shay is off the case, officially. Determined to clear his family name, his under-the-radar investigation takes him from an opulent mansion in Dublin to Hell's Kitchen in New York, and his good friend, Father Brennan Burke, has some surprising contacts for Shay in the shadowy world of New York's Irish mob. Okay. Okay, give me just a second because I need something to drink. My throat is going very dry. Okay. Alright, next up I have Into the Churn by Haley Reese Chow. And this says, Earth was tame, Belethia is not. 17-year-old Ezrin Hart interns in her mother's terraforming lab, studying Belethia's deadly storms with the dream of giving her backwater planet open teal skies. But when budget cuts threaten to shut down her mother's lab, Ezrin enters Belethia's Race Royal, the system's deadliest and most lucrative race. To win, she'll have to run, drive, and fight her way across Belethia's barren landscape while navigating its savage and volatile storms. With her planet's future and her family's on the line, she can't afford to lose. But first, she'll have to convince her handsome royal partner that their planet is worth saving. Foster Sterling is a jaded ex-prodigy royaler, still reeling from his partner's death in a training accident. When Ezrin Hart comes charging into his life, her passion reminds him of what he once loved about racing, and his dream of returning pride to their planet. Still, no matter how fast they go, they can't outrun the mysterious string of deadly accidents following them like a curse. As Foster falls harder for Ezrin, he races to piece the clues together. But the time's running out, and their survival on the line, he'll have to decide if their dreams are worth their lives. Okay. Alright, next up is Hunterland by Dana Clare. This one says, Grab your stakes and your rock salt. Monster hunting class is in session. Liam Hunter has warded off hungry vampires, slayed monstrous beasts, and put agonized spirits to rest, since he could hold a stake. When trouble comes through the Hunterland message board, alerting them that nurses are dying at high schools across Wisconsin in a string of fishy suicides, the Hunter family hits the road to save the day. The trail leads to Falkville Falls, where Liam clashes with Olivia Davis, whose maddening family seems inexplicably embroiled in this haunting mess. Olivia has always mothered her little sister Pepper, but when the Hunter family opens her eyes to the hidden underworld of real monsters prowling the dark, she realizes she can't protect Pepper from this newest threat by herself. Can the two families work together to uncover who or what is responsible before the next murder, or will this vicious death cycle have no end? Next is We Could Be Villains by Megan McCullough. And this says, avoid spoilers, don't get fired, defeat a not-so-fictional supervillain. 17-year-old fangirl Rosemary Collins lives for Vigil and Anti Studios movies. From action-packed superhero fights to sweet character moments, she's here for it all. But in a real-life crossover no one saw coming, the fandom's heartthrob supervillain Ironfall isn't as fictional as the film studio wants her to believe. Beyond the glamorous red carpet lies the government's most guarded secrets. The movies are real. Armed with a devilish grin and a wit as sharp as his knives, Ironfall needs her help, and refusing means he'll kill her parents. Her only other option involves spying on him for the government's secret superhero division. Suspended between fact and what she thought was fiction, Rosemary must join her heroes and create an impenetrable web of lies or guarantee her parents' safety as she watches the world burn at its adored villain's hand. Perfect for fans of pop culture and comics, We Could Be Villains packs an entire cinematic universe into a book. Join Rosemary and the not-so-fictional heroes and villains of the Vigil and Anti films in this imaginative science fiction where superhero battles equal publicity stunts, fictional characters become family, and the villain just might steal your heart. This sounds cute. Okay, these two came from Book of the Month. The first one was my actual book for the month, and the second one was an add-on I did. So the first one is Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. And this says, best-selling YA author Chloe Gong's adult epic fantasy debut, inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, is a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amid a set of deadly games. Every year, thousands in the kingdom of Talon will flock to its capital twin cities, San-Er, where the palace hosts a set of games. For those confident enough in their ability to jump between bodies, there is a fight to the death across San-Er for a chance to win unimaginable riches. Princess Kala Tulimi lurks in hiding. 5 years ago, a massacre left her parents dead and the palace of empty, and she was the one who did it. Before her uncle, King Kasa, and his forces in San can catch her, she plans to finish the job and bring down the monarchy. The king always greets the victor of the games, so if she wins, she gets her opportunity to kill him at last. Enter Anton Makusa, an exiled aristocrat. His childhood love has lain in a coma since they were both ousted from the palace, and he's deep in debt trying to keep her alive. Thankfully, he's one of the best jumpers in the kingdom, flitting from body to body at will. His last chance at saving her is entering the games and winning. Kala finds both an unexpected alliance with Anton and help from King Kasa's adopted son, August Shinzi, who wants to mend Talon's ills. But the three of them have very different goals, even as Kala and Anton's partnership spirals into something all-consuming. Before the games close, Kala must decide what she's playing for, her lover or her kingdom. Next is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This says, in this exhilarating novel by the best-selling author of The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery, two friends of 10 in love, but never lovers, come together as creative partners in the world of video game design, where success brings them fame, joy, tragedy, duplicity, and ultimately a kind of immortality. On a bitter cold day in the December of his junior year at Harvard, Sam Masser exits a subway car and sees, amid the hordes of people waiting on the platform, Sadie Green. He calls her name. For a moment she pretends she hasn't heard him, but then she turns and a game begins, a legendary collaboration that will launch them to stardom. These friends, intimate since childhood, borrow money, beg favors, and before even graduating college, they have created their first blockbuster, Ichigo. Overnight, the world is theirs. Not even 25 years old, Sam and Sadie are brilliant, successful, and rich, but these qualities won't protect them from their own creative ambitions or the betrayals of their hearts. Spanning 30 years from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, and lands in between and far beyond, Gabrielle Zevin's Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, and the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it's a love story, but it's not the one you have read before. I heard really good things about that book too. Okay, I do need to take another second because I need something more to drink. That's a lot of reading and I still have all of these. So I'll be right back. Okay, I am back and hopefully my voice will be a lot better now. Okay, so the next couple of books here are books that I got directly from the author. And the first one is a teeny tiny book. And it's called Maiden Mother Churn. And it's poems and microfictions by Stephanie Askoff. It's just this little bitty thing. It's just 7 pages. It's not a book, it's a zine, is what she said. But I thought it'd be cute. And then the next one is Flower and Cloak, 5 Fairy Tales by Stephanie Askoff. This says, flowers reveal identities, identities conceal secrets. Fairy tales remove the cloak. A fearless girl faces her most cunning foe, and this one stands on 2 legs. A young man with a secret strives to make a place for himself in a harsh and unwelcoming world. A fugitive who must rescue her lover finds that the life she left behind isn't what she thought it was. A dragon falls in love with a god, but their differences may keep them apart. A witch strikes a bargain with a forest spy, leaving both with more than they expected. Explore heritage, friendship, and love in many forms in these 3 retellings and 2 original tales. Follow 5 characters as they discover that the past, the present, or the person they thought they knew conceals far more than they imagined. And this is also a short one. It looks like it's only, let's see, not counting the story notes and stuff, only 119 pages. I think this will be a fun read too. Next, also by Stephanie Askoff, I have A Land of Light and Shadow. This says, an expedition goes terribly wrong. Tremors shake the land, something forgotten sleeps in the ravine, and one girl awakens ancient and hidden powers. The recent loss of vision in her right eye only motivates Arden to work harder. After all, the Princess of Sedona has a lot to live up to, and she loves her country and her parents, dispensing justice alongside them in the castle's imposing throne room. When someone delivers an unusual statue to the castle, Arden discovers the forgotten world of magic and her own ability to wield it. But magic is tied to the one place forbidden to all Sidonians, the treacherous ravine. Now she must uncover what really happened in her country's secret past without compromising her public responsibilities. Can she share the burden of her newly discovered powers, or will they alienate her from those she loves, or worse, endanger them? And can she save Sidonia from a power-hungry magician before he destroys everything she loves? And next up, I have Fairy Tale Poems of Longing and Ferocity, The Wistful Wind by Stephanie Escobar, Caitlin Gimmel, Courtney Joseph, Jess Lynn, Beth Stedman, and Stephanie Askoff, and she edited it. And this says, love and lost chances, innocence and scars, enchantments and adventure, freedom and silence, magic spells and bloodied keys. The Wistful Wild offers a wide selection of poetry inspired by fairy tales and myths. Through stories both familiar and obscure, readers will encounter the perspectives of oft-overlooked side characters and main characters alike. Some celebrate love, whether platonic, familial, or romantic. Others warn of its potential dangers. At its heart, this poetry book explores the experiences of fairy tale characters who are many things: wild, wicked, and wondrous, sweet, scarred, and satisfied, forgotten, found, and forged. Maiden, Mother, and Crone. In other words, souls of longing and ferocity. Featuring poems inspired by The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, White Bear King Valmon, Iron Henry, The 12 Dancing Princesses, Bluebeard, and many others. This next one you may have seen in another video I did, and that is Thief of Sorrows by Kristen M. Long. And I am so excited because Kristen is our author for Season-a-thon Academy, and this is the group book for that. And yeah, I've gotten it signed and all that stuff. This says, I do not bow to fear, it bows to me. Isolde Catherine is anything but a damsel in need of saving. By day she is the heir to Thornwood Manor and all its lands. By night she masquerades as the Hood, a brutal outlaw who leads a cadre of thieves and assassins whose mission is simple. Fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. When Isolde brutally kills a lord, it forces two men back into her life. Liam, the handsome captain of the guard, who was shunned from Thornwood for joining the evil king's army, and Gage, the right hand of the king and murderer of Isolde's first love. After a successful heist leaves Gage humiliated and in danger of the king's wrath for failure to capture the Hood, Isolde's world is thrown into chaos, struggling to protect those she loves not only from the dangers of the kingdom, but from her own deadly power. Isolde is forced to take action when one of her own is caught in the crosshairs. Choices are made and blood is spilled, forcing the Hood to face her past, a past that is far more dangerous than even she realizes. Oh, so excited. Okay, next up are books I got off of Amazon. Some of them are like from Amazon directly, and others were like through third-party sellers or whatever. I think I got most of these during like a Prime sale or something. I don't remember exactly. It was some kind of sale that was going on. The first one I got here is actually the complete Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. So I have The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. This says, Belly has always lived for the summertime because it means all her favorite things: swimming, the beach, and the Fisher Boys, Conrad and Jeremiah. She has spent every summer of her life with them at Cousins Beach. All the while, Belly has loved Conrad from afar, until finally, one fateful summer, it seems like he might feel something for her too. But as it turns out, so does Jeremiah. As the summers go on, Belly must choose between the two brothers and face the inevitable. She will have to break one of their hearts. And I really wasn't all that interested in reading these until I watched the first season of The Summer I Turned Pretty. And it was way more than I expected. And I loved it. And then I was like, yeah, I want to read all of these. Also, if the color is weird in here, I'm sorry. I don't know why it is. Maybe I could fix it in editing. Okay, this next one I think is going to be a really fun book. This is Lit Stitch, 25 Cross-Stitch Patterns for Book Lovers by Book Riot. And I very much enjoy cross-stitching, and I just thought this would be a lot of fun. Next up is Bibliophile Diverse Spines by James Harper and Jane Mount. This richly illustrated collection uplifts the works of authors from diverse backgrounds and cultures who are often underrepresented in the literary world. Using their keen knowledge and deep love for all things literary, authors James Harper, founder of the Diverse Spines book community, and Jane Mount, author of Bibliophile and the founder of Ideal Bookshelf, collaborated to create an essential volume filled with treasures for every reader. And then I guess this one's the original. This is Bibliophile, an illustrated miscellany. And this says, this volume brims with bookish treasures, all delightfully illustrated by avowed bibliophile Jane Mount. Find your next great read in lovingly curated stacks of books. Test your knowledge of the written word with quizzes. Sample the most famous fictional meals. Peek inside the workspaces of your favorite authors. Tour the world's most beautiful bookstores. Meet an adorable array of bookstore cats. Dive into this enchanting collection to fall in love with books over and over again. Next is Playing for Keeps by Tristan Crone. And this says, Farron puts on a good front, feigning confidence despite literally not fitting into society's narrow ideas of beauty and success. Inside, she's stuck, afraid to put herself and her ideas out there, especially the board game design she's kept a secret. She keeps things light and temporary, both at work as a substitute teacher and in her relationships. Overworked Sebastian abhors anything that gets in the way of his goals, including procuring the perfect pastry. The two meet when Sebastian accuses her of stealing his pastry in an amusing and awkward cafe incident. When Farron gets in the way of his coffee order with her huge personality, she turns out to be even more than he bargained for. Instead of shrinking beneath his usually intimidating stare, Farron issues a challenge back. Take a second away from his phone calendar with its down-to-the-minute scheduling and play her for it. Live a little. If Sebastian wins the board game battle, he gets to keep his precious croissant. If she wins, he has to join their game night next week. Just who will be the victor in this game of love? And I think this sounds super cute. And then last, but certainly not least, I am so incredibly excited for this. I didn't know this was going to be a thing, and when I saw it, I had to pre-order it because I was just like, I need this in my life. And that is I Hate Fairyland Volume 5, Gert's Inferno. I thought Volume 4 was going to be the last one we got. This is my favorite graphic novel series. It is absolutely absurd in the best way. So, our main character, Gertrude, this is in the first one, as like an 8-year-old kid or something like that, she gets sucked into Fairyland through a portal, and she's like, I don't want to be here. And they're like, this is every kid's dream. And she's like, no, I don't want to be here. And they're like, okay, well, all you have to do is go through Fairyland and complete these quests and yada, yada, yada. You'll get your key and you can go home. But Gertrude's really, really, really bad at completing these quests. It's now been 30 years and she's still stuck in Fairyland, in the body of this 8-year-old or however old she was. And she hates absolutely everything about Fairyland. And she will just destroy anything in her path. And, just to give you an idea. It's so good. I love it so much. But yes, I'm very, very, very excited to have more. So those are all 33 books that I accumulated in this haul. Have you guys read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!